Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be using this really adorable stamp set from Pink and Main. This stamp set is called Sweet Carousel. I have a piece of Bristol Smooth paper in my Misti tool, and I'm going to stamp one of those images onto that paper using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I find that this ink works really well with the Arteza Real Brush pens, and those are the markers that I'm going to be using to color in this image. For the mane and the tail on the unicorn, I used the colors Bumblebee Yellow and Ginger. I started with the yellow color, adding it to the areas that I wanted to be darkest, and then I took my water brush and I blended out the color so that I could get a little bit of variation in the tones. Once I finished with that first layer of color, I let it dry, and then I came in with the ginger color and I just added it very sparingly, and this color really helped to bring down the brightness of that first yellow color, and it also gave it a little bit of texture. Now for the rest of the image, I'm actually only using 3 different markers. So the colors that I used are Wisteria Purple, Rouge Pink, and Ice Blue. Now that ice blue color doesn't really look blue, it actually looks more gray. It's kind of a really light blue-gray color. So when I'm coloring an image that has white, I like to shade it with my gray markers, but sometimes I like to grab the ice blue instead. I feel that it gives a little bit more of a cooler tone, and for this image I thought that that would look really good. So most of the detailed areas are colored in with that purple and pink marker, and then the ones that look white I shaded with that ice blue color. Before I started coloring in this image, I thought about doing rainbow colors, but when you have an image that has a lot of detail like this one does, it can be difficult to work with a large color palette. So if you're struggling with your color palette and you have an image like this, try only using just a couple of colors, and sometimes that can make it a lot easier. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make a larger color palette work. I have done rainbow colors on this image before and it did come out nice, but I had to put a lot more thought into it, and it was a little bit more difficult to have it come out in a way where the image really worked and didn't look busy. Okay, so once the coloring was done, I took the coordinating die and I cut out that image using my Big Shot. Next I took an A2 size panel of white cardstock and I cut a square out of the upper portion of it, and I'm going to be turning that into a shaker window by adding some acetate to the back. I went around that window with some doubled up foam tape, and then I filled in that shaker area with some large clear glitter. I closed up the shaker using a light pink piece of cardstock. I used Gina K Connect glue in order to adhere my Carousel unicorn to the front of that shaker panel. I carefully placed it right in the middle of that window, and then I did have to hold down some of the areas for a little while until that glue stuck. Using a white gel pen, I added some details and highlights to my colored in image. I added some foam tape to the bottom of that panel, and I went over the top portion of it with my ATG gun, and then I glued the whole thing onto an A2 size card base. I took a piece of SLATE cardstock and I prepped it with my powder tool for embossing, and then I took one of the sentiments from that same Sweet Carousel stamp set and I stamped it onto that cardstock using my Misti tool, and I stamped it with Versamark ink and embossed it with Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I used my Tonic Trimmer to cut that down into a small strip, and then I popped it up on the card with some foam tape. The last thing that I did to finish up this card is I went over that sentiment with my Wink of Stella glitter brush, and then this card was all done. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this pretty shaker card design using the Sweet Carousel stamp set from Pink and Main. All of the supplies that I used for this card can be found in the description down below. If you're new to my channel and you really enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'm going to be back with a new video on Monday. Thanks again for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a good weekend.